Yes, all good. I don't have to see it. Yeah. It first. Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate you. Hey, Jason, how you doing? Good evening. It is Wednesday night. Let's get it going. Getting over the hump. It's downhill from here on into the weekend. Easier and easier, right? Oh, I thought that was the open. I was waiting for the open to roll, and there's the open. I have to. It's a legal thing. Bill Taylor here, Ken's 5 Digital Center. Not really, just having fun. And I'm so glad you're here. I hope God's peace is finding you and yours where you are this evening. It is Wednesday night, so we are getting over the hump of the work week, downhill slide into the weekend, you know. Wednesday, hump day. Thursday, we call it Baby Friday. Friday's Friday. Saturday's fun. Sunday's my favorite. Monday's always like Monday, you know, it doesn't get necessarily the, positive spin. I always kind of feel bad for Tuesday. Tuesday's just this outlier that just doesn't have much going on. But it's Taco Tuesday. It's Tuesdays with Taylor, which, as a matter of fact, let's first look at the highs, but then I'll show you where I am at Tuesdays with Taylor. And a little bit about that if you don't know what that is. Jason, doing good. Daughter's first time back to school since, oh, wow. Well, God bless him, man. God bless him. Good evening, Estella. Hey, Kyler. God bless you, Lorraine. Thank you very much. Doroteo. Austin. Oh, ATX vibes are in. Hey, Marcy, how are you? All right, so highs today, about 10 degrees above average. I mean, not as bad. Tomorrow, we're getting probably 10 degrees warmer in San Antonio. And in most cases, actually, as I look at Pearsall, they go lower 90s tomorrow. Carrizo Springs for sure. 90s are waiting for you tomorrow. All those 70s that you see will be 80s on Thursday. It's going to be a warm, sunnier day tomorrow. A little more sunshine tomorrow, and that's why we'll get a little bit warmer. But yeah, I wanted to show you guys what I'm doing on Tuesdays. If you're not familiar, Tuesdays with Taylor was born when my first daughter was in first grade. a librarian at her elementary school said, you ought to do the weather on the announcements. Maybe do it on Tuesdays. And she is even the one who said, Margaret Reynolds, her name, call it Tuesdays with Taylor. I said, that's a great idea. And it evolved into just doing the weather, it started doing the weather on the announcement, say today's gonna be sunny, tomorrow chance of rain, yada. And then I started answering weather-related questions from students. And it would be random students in the school, Hunter from, Miss Martin's class. And I would answer a question. So, and illustrate, in some cases. Well, then where Kendall went to school, where Peyton went to school, as my daughters went through elementary. And then when Peyton aged out and went to middle school, I said, okay, I got to keep this going. This is gold. But it's got to stay elementary. I don't want to do it in middle schools or high schools. I'd probably get beat up. No, but I think it's a golden opportunity. So now I visit different schools. San Antonio Christian School is where I am. And what I do is I do it for several Tuesdays in a row, typically about a 5 to 7 week, just depending on their semester run. And depending on how many holidays fall and stuff like that, some testing days that I can't be on campus, sometimes things like that will eliminate some Tuesdays. So if that's the case, I might stay a little longer. But normally, I do it on the announcements, and I answer a question from a random student that'll submit a question. In the case of San Antonio Christian, they do their announcements on a PA, audio only. So they were so clever in coming up with this idea. They said, okay, the elementary school class that has the best cafeteria behavior for the week gets your visit the following Tuesday. So Miss Hudson's 5th grade class was the best behaved cafeteria class. And so I went to her class and spent about a half hour in there answering questions galore, giving a little weather lesson. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun. And then while I'm on campus, I always like to highlight some of the different things that are at the school. And this was really neat. This is their Call to Serve mural. And all those pictures, I know it's harder to see from this wide shot view, are different civic groups that they've gone and helped out, different nonprofits that they've gone and assisted with. Just a really good little program there. San Antonio Christians, the Lions, that's who was in that picture. Judith, their mascot. Hey, Kelly, good to see you. Ralph, what's going on? Spring has sprung, right? I'm telling you, man. It is, Kyler. It's going to be a hot day tomorrow, actually. No snow, Jamie. I'm hoping for some rain. We got a chance. You're saying there's a chance. Stephanie and Scott. Oh, I'm so sorry. Terry, that's tragic. Stephanie and Scott, may God's peace find you. May God bind the brokenness. Oh, that's so tragic to hear. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll be lifting them up in prayer. Daughter's watching you. Can you tell her? Hi, absolutely. Elisa, how are you? Bill Taylor here, Ken's 5 Digital Center, having a little coffee on a Wednesday. Hope you're doing well, Elisa. We'll start tomorrow, New Braunfels. A little bit of fog early, so let's talk about that. 85 on a warm afternoon. Remember what happens here, Elisa? This is a great learning opportunity about relative humidity and the dew point, all right? So we arrive at relative humidity based on the relationship between air temperature and dew point temperature, okay? Now, typically the dew point temperature is much lower than the air temperature. So here's future dew points. Let's take a look at this at 7 a.m. So normally in the morning is when we can produce fog, okay? So 63-degree dew point at 7 a.m. Now, the closer our air temperature gets to that 63, the higher the humidity. If it matches that 63, we have 100% humidity. Well, at 7 a.m., we're at 65, so that's just 2 degrees away. That's pretty close. That'll be 90, maybe 88% relative humidity. It'll be actually 90 to 95% relative humidity. That's going to be high. If they match, then we have a saturated atmosphere. The atmosphere cannot hold any more water. Relative humidity is the percentage of the atmosphere holding water. So if you have 90% humidity, only 10% of the atmosphere can now hold water. So it's pretty close to saturation. 100%, it's saturated. And that's a fancy word for, think of it as a sponge filled with water. And if you just touch that sponge, water squirts out. You squeeze it and the water pours out. So that's what the atmosphere is doing, right? It can only hold so much water. And at 100%, it can't hold any more water. And so it starts to condense and it starts to make fog. So that's what we're expecting to develop tomorrow morning because of these higher dew points and the lowering temperature. Here's the fog situation. At 6 a.m., we're expecting about half a mile visibility in every, well, northeast, northwest directions. East and southeast, not as much. Even though the humidity is typically higher in that direction, which is unusual, but I'm going to show you what the difference is, and it's right here. The reason why is because of wind speeds. If we go to 7 a.m., notice how the winds are a little higher in Gonzales than they are in San Antonio. Well, a 10 to 11 mile per hour wind can really inhibit fog development. If you get it to 6, 5, Hondo, 5, Uvalde, that means that we've got fog that's able to form because the winds are light enough. Stephanie and Scott, yes, absolutely. Oh, thank you, Pamela. Praise God. Everybody. We lift each other up. We carry each other's burdens to fulfill the law of Jesus. That is biblical principle. Yes, it's expected, Terry, by probably fall. And so that would include part of hurricane season. Obviously, not the height of hurricane season, which is typically mid-August to mid-September. But if it's a fall El Nino, which would mean, late September, October, November, it would certainly inhibit tropical development. We will slip into a bit of a neutrality in between, and we've had some very active seasons in that neutral zone, that transition zone, as someone called it last night, which is another great term to use because you're moving into one or the other. And so we're in a La Nina winter. It's slowly subsiding. And so with that, and by the way, El Nino, La Nina, all talking about temperatures of the Pacific waters. And remember that if you have cooling waters in the Pacific and a sinking air motion, then you're going to have rising air in the Atlantic. It's always kind of on that, scale. And so because of that, different weather patterns erupt across the southern United States. And if you have a lifting, I'll call it environment of the Atlantic basin, well, that's going to definitely contribute to more hurricanes because hurricanes are vertically building storms. If you have more lift, you've got more available energy to get those storms up and going and sustaining. All right, so tomorrow morning, as you'll see here, let me just show you by 7 a.m. There's the fog, low clouds. It'll be very cloudy. It might even look like rain, but don't worry about grabbing the umbrella. You're not going to need it. By the afternoon, you can see there's the sun and there's the heat. And we got some 90s to the south. We got about 84, 85 waiting for us in San Antonio. It's going to be a warm day. And you can see some of the clouds will keep temperatures maybe a few degrees less out to the east. But no big changes until the weekend and this cold front. Hey, George Cruz, what's going on? Let me back up just a minute. Oh, thank you, Jason. Praise God. Hey, Kay. Yeah, that's what you're just in time, Kay. I just saw your question, so here we go. So whenever you see like just almost straight lines left to right, we call that zonal flow in the upper levels, and that means a pretty quiet weather pattern. Now, you see that maroon colored, those bands, ribbons, I'll call it, from Arizona through New Mexico into the Panhandle, and then up into Oklahoma, right? So those are what we call areas of higher CAPE. That's going to be energy in the upper levels. Convective CAPE is an acronym for convective available potential energy. And this is a tool in meteorology to show us in the upper levels where's the highest amount of wind speed, lift, and instability occurring so that we have an environment more conducive for thunderstorms. I almost said hurricanes because we were talking about thunderstorms. And so that doesn't always mean you're going to get thunderstorms where that is. It just does mean that if you get them, they could get strong and numerous. Well, notice how that's positioned way north, okay? So that's one of the factors where what we call upper level support when a cold front comes through. Sometimes it won't have, if you've got the front coming through at the surface and you've got that cape right over top of it, that's a really good environment for thunderstorms. So we don't have that. And so when the front comes through on early Saturday, we're not going to see much rain develop. In fact, you can see there's a spotty shower or two. Look at that. That's about it. Just a couple little isolated showers the model's showing us. So that's why it can't go 0%, but on Friday, Saturday, 10% chance as the front comes through. We're not expecting anything, but we're just putting that in there to say, can't rule it out. Might be a shower. Then you can see this big ridge build. See how that huge bell curve over pretty much the Baja is where it's centered, but we're definitely going to have an influence on that. And we'll get some cool mornings off of this flow. Cooler afternoons, but not cold. Even the mornings won't be cold, but we'll definitely feel a difference as early as Sunday. The biggest change, too early to show you on Wednesday, but I can do future winds by tomorrow. The biggest change is going to be the wind speeds on the weekend. The wind speeds will definitely be the change in this forecast, and that you'll know there's a cold front. Lynn, 5K training. Oh, nice. Okay, this is a good, training environment, especially over the weekend. Just on Saturday and Sunday, make sure you're running south. Don't run north. You're going to be running right into a very strong wind. Or maybe if it's training, you should, right? Make the run a lot easier. If you train running into the wind or running up hills, then maybe that's going to make the run a little easier for you. Yeah, Kyler, it is up. Low 40s is about as cold. Maybe some isolated upper 30s, but not a freeze. We're not expecting a freeze. Yes, Tony, I'll show you that. Dre, Charlie, and Carter Mo. Charlie and Carter Mo. You know who? Mo. Mo knows. Good to see you guys. God bless y'all. Nice weather in Pleasanton. Pleasant night in Pleasanton. Absolutely. Okay, allergens. Thank you, Tony, because today was a 3 pollen day. We haven't had one of these in a while. You know, we've been living with the mountain cedar and the molds. We always have molds year round, but it's mountain cedar season right now, which actually went up from yesterday. And molds stayed about the same, but ash is the new player today. At a 50 count, it is light. A 3 pollen day. You know what? That just became our lead story, because I'm realizing that we haven't had a 3-digit day in a while. And so let's do a 3 pollen day as our lead story. Okay, back to the 14-day forecast and some of the cold mornings that are in the forecast thanks to that cold front. 2 cold fronts on this 14-day. We've got September 26th scheduled for the next front after this Friday, Saturday one. And you can see the effect. Look, from 84 tomorrow, and then you see even upper 70s Saturday before we go 67 for the high on Sunday. 42 to even 41 by Tuesday morning, the 24th. Now, 24th is a big day. February 24th is the average last freeze for San Antonio. We will see some mid-30s across the hill country that morning, maybe a 32. Someone might squeeze out a 32 that morning, but it won't certainly be widespread. That would be isolated. We should stop at 41 in the city. So it is the coldest prediction on this 14-day forecast, and coincidentally, the final, on average, freeze of the year. Not saying that we're done with all, 100% certainty. We could be. I think we're done with hard freezes, as I've mentioned a couple times. I do think we could get one more. The latest freeze we've ever had is April 3rd. It's happened. We've had some good blue northers in March. We certainly have. Sylvia, what about here by the airport tomorrow morning? Temperature for us. Yeah, you're looking at it. 61 to 84 for sure. Yep. Because remember, everything that we record is from the official airport thermometer. Gene, you too. Have a great night. You're welcome, Tony. Thank you for reminding me. That was some good stuff. You just actually co-produced the 10 p.m. weathercast because of your question and going into the 3, pollens or allergens showing up for the first time in a while. I said, okay, I'm going to lead off the 10 o'clock weather with that tonight. I always try to say, okay, what's my lead story? You know, I mean, news has their top story, their lead story. By the way, anybody know where top story comes from, that phrase, top story? Anybody know the origin of that? Kind of some cool media trivia, if you will. It came from print. That came from newspaper. That's a newspaper term. What's your top story? The top of the page, the top fold story is your lead story, your top story. So we use that in television. And newspaper is actually where I started. I was in print, I was in radio, and I've been in TV for about 36 years. Kids love watching. Oh, thank you, Dre. Love you guys. Love Charlie. Come on, man. Love Carter. Love the Moes. All right, guys, that's going to wrap things up on this awesome Wednesday night. I hope you have an incredible evening and an even better Thursday. God bless you. God bless you all, and we will see you on Ken's 5 News at 10.